Modern dating isn't just broken, it's imploding, and men are catching the fallout. Loneliness, rejection, and silent suffering have become the new normal. This isn't just a dating crisis, it's a full-blown identity collapse, and nobody's talking about it. Let me start with a reality check that's going to hit hard. When you look at the numbers behind modern dating, it's enough to make anyone want to throw their phone out the window. Women swipe right on only 5% of men. 5 out of 100. Meanwhile, men, they're swiping right on 61% of women, casting a wide net and hoping something, anything sticks. That's not matchmaking. That's a digital lottery where almost everyone loses, especially men. And the cost? It's not just bruised egos. It's psychological damage that adds up fast. But the damage doesn't stop at rejection. This non-stop cycle of swiping, messaging, ghosting, it trains your brain to expect failure. You start every conversation already assuming it's going to end badly. And guess what? Science backs this up. Using dating apps can actually lower your chances of being accepted by nearly 30% because you're literally rewiring your brain into a rejection mindset. You become emotionally numb, less confident, and way more anxious than you even realize. And then you wonder why you feel so defeated all the time. Now, if you think this is just about the apps, buckle up because it gets worse. Let's talk about how social media is warping the way you see dating, relationships, and yourself. Everywhere you look, it's highlight reels, perfect couple photos, exotic vacations, candlelit proposals in Iceland, and here you are, eating leftovers in sweatpants, wondering what the hell went wrong. It's not just unfair, it's fake. But the brain doesn't always know that, so it compares. And when your real life doesn't measure up to their polished, filtered fantasy, you start to feel like you're losing at a game no one told you the rules to. That distorted comparison is eating away at how people view love. And for men, the pressure gets brutal. Because now, it's not just about finding someone. It's about being rich, attractive, charismatic, successful, funny, emotionally available, but not too emotional. And also, somehow mysterious and strong, but still vulnerable. It's exhausting. No wonder so many guys are opting out altogether. And if the dating apps and social media weren't doing enough damage, let's talk about the nuclear bomb to your psyche, porn. Yeah, the thing nobody wants to admit they rely on. Here's the truth. Porn is changing your brain. It's not just a bad habit. It's not just a guy thing. It's a full-on neurological remodel of how you experience desire and intimacy. The more you consume it, the more your brain gets addicted to the intensity of it. You start needing more extreme content just to feel something. Real intimacy, real connection, that starts to feel dull by comparison. And when you finally find yourself in a real relationship, you wonder why nothing feels exciting anymore. It's because your brain's been hijacked. The reward system that's supposed to light up during intimacy has already burned itself out on dopamine spikes from your browser history. Studies are now showing that men who consume high levels of porn start to struggle with everything from sexual dysfunction to emotional disconnection. It even increases the tendency to objectify partners because you've trained yourself to see bodies, not people. If that stings a little, good. It should. Because this is about more than just dating. It's about your mental health, your relationships, your future. And this isn't just happening to you. It's happening to millions of men who don't even realize they're stuck in the same toxic loop. So here's a challenge. Delete one dating app. Just one. Pick the one that makes you feel like garbage the most and get rid of it. Do it not because you're giving up on dating, but because you're reclaiming your peace of mind. And while you're at it, block the top 3 adult sites you visit. Yes, block them. Use a site blocker, throw on a password you'll forget, and give yourself a break from the endless cycle of fake stimulation and empty dopamine. You need a reset, not forever, but long enough to remember what it's like to exist without an algorithm telling you your worth. The truth is, the modern world is not built for your emotional well-being. It's built to keep you scrolling, swiping, and spiraling. But you don't have to play that game anymore. You can step out of it, rewire your brain, reclaim your confidence. You deserve more than pixels and performance. And the first step is unplugging from the things convincing you that you're not enough. Let me tell you about a crisis that's hiding in plain sight. One that almost no one talks about, but nearly every man is living through. From the time you were a little kid, like 4 years old, you were taught a very specific lesson. Don't cry, don't show weakness, and definitely don't talk about your feelings unless you're angry. Sadness? Too soft. Fear? Not masculine enough. Vulnerability? That's for women. So what did you do? You buried all that stuff deep down and convinced yourself it didn't matter. Now fast forward to adulthood, and surprise, you're emotionally paralyzed. You've got no real tools to deal with sadness or anxiety or feeling disconnected. And to make it worse, you probably don't even realize it. Because this emotional shutdown has been branded as being strong your whole life. The only emotion you were ever allowed to fully express was anger. And that's why so many men end up exploding, shutting down, or just feeling completely numb. There's a mental tug of war going on. One side is yelling at you to be stoic, tough, dominant. That's traditional masculinity. The other side is begging for emotional intelligence, empathy, vulnerability, things that are now necessary in modern relationships. And you're stuck right in the middle, with no clear way forward. Be open, and people might see you as weak. Stay closed off, and you push everyone away. Either way, you lose. And this emotional suppression isn't just making relationships harder, it's literally killing men. You want proof? Let's talk about loneliness. In the 90s, over half of men said they had 6 or more close friends. Today, that number dropped to 27%. That means most guys are walking around with barely 1 or 2 people they can really talk to. And even then, when was the last time you actually had a conversation that went beyond "what's up" or "you good"? Only 30% of men say they've had a real heart-to-heart with a friend in the past week. That's not just sad, it's dangerous. Because without connection, without someone to be real with, you start feeling invisible. Like your pain doesn't matter. And that disconnection, it shows up everywhere. Your work, your relationships, even how you see yourself in the mirror. So do one thing right now. Text a friend, not just yo or a meme. Ask how he's actually doing. And when he replies, don't brush it off. Share something real back. That's how connection starts. Not with big moments or deep speeches, but with small, honest check-ins that remind you you're not alone. Now, as if the emotional pressure wasn't enough, let's talk about another weight. Men are carrying money. Yeah, the old school idea that you've got to be the provider, the rock, the guy with the plan and the paycheck. That role still hasn't disappeared. We're living in an economy where that expectation is borderline impossible. Think about it. You're told to pay for dates, look financially stable, have it all together, and yet the job market's a mess, rent's insane, and inflation's basically turned groceries into a luxury item. You're trying to impress someone while also stressing about your credit score and gas prices. It's ridiculous. And yet the pressure never lets up. More and more guys are actually going into debt just to show up on a first date. Not even a relationship, just the intro. 22% of millennials have racked up dating-related debt. Meanwhile, women are increasingly out-earning their male counterparts, which is great for equality. But the old expectations haven't caught up. Men are still expected to provide, even when the math doesn't make sense anymore. So now you're stuck again. If you can't provide at the expected level, you feel like a failure. But if you try to fake it, overspend, hide the financial stress, you burn out fast. And then what? You're broke and bitter. And because society still links masculinity to money, the whole thing turns into a self-esteem nightmare. You feel like less of a man, even though you're just trying to survive a system that wasn't built for this generation. This constant pressure to prove your worth through money is ruining your confidence. And when your confidence drops, it shows. You carry it into every date, every conversation, every interaction. You start playing smaller, doubting yourself more. And guess what? That only reinforces the cycle. It's psychological quicksand. So let's break that cycle, even just a little. Set a real dating budget, not in your head. Write it down. Decide how much you can comfortably afford each month and stick to it. If it's $30, that's fine. If it's $100, great. The point isn't the number, it's reclaiming control, because your worth is not defined by how much you spend. A $12 coffee date can build more connection than a $200 dinner if you're present, honest, and confident in who you are. And that's what this whole thing comes down to. Confidence. Real confidence. Not the performative kind that's all about flexing money or hiding emotions, but the kind that comes from knowing yourself, trusting your values, and refusing to play a broken game. There's something happening to your brain every time you get rejected, and most people have no idea how serious it actually is. This isn't just about taking an L and moving on. It's a psychological event that hits your nervous system like a punch in the gut. Every time you get ignored, ghosted, brushed off, your brain takes a chemical hit. Cortisol spikes, self-doubt creeps in, and if your self-esteem is already low, your brain starts turning against you. You start blaming yourself. You question your worth. You might even start resenting the person who rejected you. And no, that's not just being dramatic. It's what the research says happens when people internalize rejection on a chronic level. And let's be real. The most common way you're going to get rejected? Silence. Straight up being ignored. No reply. No explanation. Nothing. 47% of men never even get a response when they ask someone out. Not even a no thanks. Just radio silence. And that doesn't feel like a clean rejection. It feels like you don't even exist, like you're invisible. And when that keeps happening, week after week, message after message, you start to believe it. You stop trying. You give up before you even start. It's not because you're weak. It's because your brain has been conditioned to expect failure and numb itself to the disappointment. That pattern of repeated failure and rejection leads to something psychologists call learned helplessness. And yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. You stop believing there's any point in trying. You start thinking maybe you're just not cut out for love. Maybe you were never meant for connection. You start to internalize failure as identity. And that's dangerous. Because once you believe you're fundamentally unworthy, you'll unconsciously keep proving that belief right in every interaction. So here's something simple you can actually do after every rejection. Write down 3 things you like about yourself. That's it. Doesn't have to be deep. Just something real. Something you know is true. Maybe it's your sense of humor. Maybe it's your loyalty. Maybe it's the fact that you never give up on your friends. Whatever it is, write it down and keep that list on your phone. Add to it often. Rejection is a reflection of one interaction, not your entire value as a human being. You've got to separate the two. Now let's talk about something else that's been sold to men as freedom when it's actually leaving them completely empty. Hookup culture. You're told it's liberating, that casual sex is empowering, that chasing endless flings is just how things work now. But dig a little deeper and you'll see the truth isn't sexy at all. In fact, it's bleak. Over 80% of college students report feeling worse after a hookup. Embarrassed, disrespected, disconnected. And even when it's fun, it rarely leads to anything lasting. Because that's not how real connection works. What's even more messed up is how culture tries to spin this as progress. You're being fed the lie that casual encounters are the ultimate expression of your freedom, when in reality, it's training you to detach emotionally, to avoid vulnerability, to treat sex like it means nothing, and that has serious consequences. Even if you weren't struggling with depression before, studies show you're more likely to feel lonely, numb, and unstable after engaging in meaningless encounters. It's not making you stronger, it's making you hollow. And while all that's going on, women are picking up on it fast. 79% of women say they can spot emotionally toxic behavior by the 3rd date. You know what that means. They can see right through the cool guy act, the detachment, the avoidance, the flirty banter that never leads anywhere. Hookup culture teaches you to hide who you are and then punishes you for being inauthentic. It's a trap. So let's do something different. Write down what you actually want in a relationship. Not what you think sounds cool. Not what your friends expect. What would make you happy? What kind of connection are you genuinely looking for? Write it down and keep it somewhere you can revisit it. That list, that's your North Star. Use it to guide how you show up, who you pursue, and what you accept in return. Stop chasing what you think you're supposed to want and start choosing what actually makes you feel alive. And now, we need to talk about something that's exploding online right now, red pill culture. You've probably seen it all over YouTube, TikTok, Reddit. And here's the tricky part. It starts with real issues. Loneliness, rejection, frustration, feeling invisible. These are valid emotions. But instead of offering healing, red pill ideology just pours gasoline on the fire. It turns hurt into hatred. It turns confusion into blame. And suddenly, it's not about improving yourself. It's about resenting women. And that's where everything goes downhill. They'll tell you that only the top 20% of men get all the women, that the rest are destined to struggle, that you're either alpha or irrelevant, that dating is just a brutal competition with winners and losers. And once you believe that, you stop seeing women as people. You start seeing them as opponents, and yourself as someone who will never measure up. That kind of scarcity mindset eats away at your confidence. You get desperate, bitter, defensive, and ironically, way less attractive in the process. But let me give you a truth bomb that the community doesn't want you to hear. Real attraction isn't about looks, status, or flashy one-liners. It's about presence, charisma, humor, how you carry yourself, how you treat people, your curiosity, your purpose. Those are the things that spark real connection, and none of them require you to be in the top 1% of anything. You just have to be growing, engaged, alive. And none of that comes from flexing. It comes from doing. So instead of spiraling into comparison, pick one thing you've always wanted to get better at and work on it this week. Cooking, guitar, storytelling, boxing, anything. Doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you build real skill. Because actual confidence doesn't come from saying you're valuable. It comes from knowing it, because you've put in the work. Let's be real. This mess you're navigating, you didn't create it, but how you respond. That's on you. You don't need to be more alpha or fake confidence. Real masculinity today means being strong and emotionally aware, confident and kind. You're not broken, you're reacting to a broken system. But healing starts when you stop isolating. So reach out, talk to someone wiser, listen to their stories, learn. You don't need all the answers. You just need the courage to keep moving forward, one honest step at a time. The truth is brutal, but freeing. Modern dating culture isn't failing you by accident. It was never built to support real connection. Social media, porn, dating apps, they've trained you to feel unworthy, invisible, and numb. But you're not broken. You're waking up. So here's your move. Step into the real world. Join something offline. Talk to someone honestly. Help another man escape this trap too. And if this hit home, share it. Like the video, subscribe, and send this to someone who needs it. Your future doesn't have to look like your feed. It can be real. It can be yours. Choose it.